Hi everyone, welcome back to the Blood Ties podcast. I'm Molly Wansell and I'm here with my father, Geoffrey Wansell.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Blood Ties 2.0.
Reboot.
The reboot, the show that began out of Molly and I having lunch every Saturday. We don't manage that quite as much now, but because Molly's so busy.
That is not strictly true. That's not strictly true. It's just a lot. We had lunch every Saturday.
We did, for a very long time.
And like we're 20 years older and our lives are 20 years different.
But 20 years on.
But we still see each other at least once a week pretty much.
Yep. Yes.
Don't we?
Yeah.
And we don't go to the same. We know it's just not the same.
No, it's not.
Well, lots of elements.
But I think it's just progression. You know, that was then and now it's now. It's just we change. We all change all the time, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, and when you say I'm so busy, it's more that like, yeah, I just get it's a lot if I then have my whole Saturday. Not that I don't love you.
No, I'm not doubting that, Mo. But you know to give up a whole day.
Yeah,
it's not the whole day, but it's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
I come to you usually, don't I?
Yeah. And
I still come like every other Saturday.
Yeah, you do. You do. I mean, what is remarkable, and I suppose it's one of the things that makes this podcast so unusual. I hesitate to say unique, but unusual, is that the father and daughter don't normally talk about these kinds of things. It's quite different.
Well, I don't know. Perhaps listeners could write in and let us
know.
If that is the case.
If there's a parallel.
You love a sweeping generalisation.
Listen, I'm a journalist my whole life. I love a sweeping generalisation.
We don't know if that means that there aren't other fathers and daughters out there who talk about true crime.
No.
True crime's a very popular subject.
Not.
Where do you think people talk about it the most?
I don't know. Where do you think they talk about it?
I don't know. I was just wondering whether people sort of go to the pub after work and are like... I can imagine it being more a topic of conversation now based around... And I definitely know this to be the case, like when they do the big true crime docs on Netflix and stuff like that.
Yes. And
that
also
would be a real kind of water cooler moment.
I think... Yeah, water cooler moment. I think the major events, Southport, Nottingham, I think, those
Yeah, I think there's something different about talking about true, like, current crime, like, news events, which is what they are before they're extracted and put into
true crime.
Yeah, I actually think people... find it easier I certainly find it easier to talk about the extraction. Like when we do these cases which are very current, I find those really hard.
Yeah. Which
is why I often much prefer the kind of Victorian, when I can be really removed from the horror, then I don't find it so bad.
Yes.
But when I jut really up close to it, and I know that we're going to do like those more current crimes, and yeah, I find those really challenging.
Well, I promise that very soon I shall do another Victorian for you.
Okay, yeah, because I need the respite in between the horror.
Between the horrors.
I mean, but the irony is that's not any less horrible.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But because there's so much distance between it feels less real to me.
Yes.
I can kind of make it like a Poirot.
Yes.
Do you find the crimes committed in Poirot or any Agatha Christie, do you view them as like brutal, or do they have a kind of soft edge? Is there a softer edge to the murders of
Orient Express or
is it
Death on the Nile?
Yeah. Like, do we think of it as less because it's?
I wonder. I think the pattern of time, because they are to some extent dated. I think that does protect us from the horror of the immediacy of it. And also remember, Agatha loved poisoners. I mean, she had poison was her favourite.
I know, she loved
the poisoning.
Chocolate, loved it. And would you? I don't read as many. Obviously, it would be impossible to read as many true crime, to as much crime fiction as you. Are the murders and crimes in these novels very brutal?
Well, no. There is now a very successful genre pioneered, I suppose, by Richard Osman called Cozy Crime. The Thursday Murder Club, which is coming out soon.
Yeah, no, I know.
There's quite a lot of it. Not my taste, actually.
I know. I meant the other way round, as in, like, rather than cozy, are they very?
The other ones are becoming increasingly increasingly gruesome.
Yeah.
Not all by any means, but I think one particular was made into a drama called Rag Doll about sewing a body together from various people's body parts. That was pretty grim. But no, I mean, the ones I'm reading at the moment, they're very clever. I'm reading a couple of really clever ones at the moment, but it's not full on horror. It's usually the best of them are when it's really clever and
I suppose
ingenious.
You could say that about Agatha Christie.
You could, absolutely, I would. I mean,
she was clever.
She was extremely clever and made up. My favourite story in Agatha Christie actually is the ABC murders. You
do love the ABC murders, and those ones are really...
I really like it because it ends up in Doncaster Racecourse, the D. It's a terrific one.
It's a good one.
I really enjoyed that one.
Anyway, we should get going. So what are we doing this week? You said we don't have a title.
We don't have a title, but
so what is it about?
This is about a man called Mark Brown. Now, Mark Brown was born in 1982.
Or should we just call it that? What is there something significant?
Well, he I suppose you could say he was a double life, a selfish predator.
The selfish predator, that's pretty good.
Okay, let's call it that.
Okay, great. Let's go.
Brown was born in 1982. He lived in St Leonards, you know, that bit on the Sussex coast.
I've been there, yeah. It's nice.
He worked in what was known as the groundworks industry of some kind. I'm not exactly sure how that
like
worked.
Pipes and stuff.
Yes.
Under roads.
And all that.
Yeah.
Building sites. He had a long-term partner of 14 years. They had a child with her, his son. She had 2 children from a previous relationship. And he rented a yard with buildings and a shipping container at a place called Little Bridge Farm in Westfield, near St Leonards. Now, here comes what I think is what you might describe as the strangeness of this. He used an escort website to meet women, and he said he'd met, fewer than 10 through the escort website. But one of the women he met was a woman called Alexandra, always known as Alex, who was 34, a single mother of 2 kids, then aged 5 and 12. And she lived in Cranbrook in Kent. And unknown to her parents, she worked as an escort, which is how they met, how Mark Brown and she met. She met him several times, and on one occasion, he bought her a Mini. He was quite a sort of generous. And on the 13th of November 2021, she went to meet him at Little Bridge Farm after telling her parents she was going on a 3-day spa break. As one does, I suppose. Mark Brown had offered her a 6-figure sum for the weekend. He'd offered her £100,000 to spend the weekend with him.
£100,000?
But she never returned. And her parents raised the alarm on the 17th of November 2021. Mark Brown claimed she'd only been there for about 45 minutes and left. But eventually, tragically, her remains were found in an oil drum on a building site that Brown had been working on near Sevenoaks in Kent. She'd been placed in an oil drum to set fire to, and police discovered fragments of the body, and that's how eventually she was identified. Police discovered a box of rollerblades in her younger son's bedroom, and she also had a burner phone. So she was leading a double life, and she'd fallen into the grips, the clutches of Mark Brown, who, for all the world, thought was another perfectly ordinary man with a steady relationship, a son, and then 2 children with his partner's previous relationships. It's extraordinary, but this was Brown's habit. No sooner had the good Alex disappeared then Sussex police were trying to track down another woman called Leigh Ware, who'd also had a relationship with Mark Brown. Leigh was 33 and was a mother of 3, but she didn't have custody of them. She led what these days are described as somewhat chaotic lifestyle. She was an animal lover, and she was devoted to her horse, 3 goats and 2 dogs, a mastiff called Duke and a Pomeranian called Lady. She'd met Brown originally in March 2018 through the same escort website he'd met Alex. But by the end of 2018, they'd actually rented a flat together. No, he was having, now we are literally, he's got one family, quotes, in St Leonards and rents a flat with Leigh. After 6 months, the lease on the flat expired, and she went to live in the shipping container that was on Littlebridge Farm. I know, I raised my eyebrows when I first heard that story. I mean, really? Honestly? But Brown, being nothing if not resourceful, had adapted it to have a kitchen and a bedroom, which locked, however, from the outside. Brown kept her prisoner at times. Friends said he was very controlling of her. In spite of having his own family, Brown would visit and bring her drugs to control her, I presume. He's obviously a very controlling man. And Leigh was last seen on the 6th of May 2021. And on the 7th of May, her phone disappeared from the network. Leigh's body has never been found, but it's believed that it suffered the same fate as Alexandra's did. Certainly, well, let's put it this way. The day after she disappeared, Brown bought 6 litres of petrol. He also rehoused the mastiff, Duke, with his sister, and the remains of the Pomeranian were found in a pond near Westfield.
Well, it's not.
No, it's not. Brown continued to collect Leigh's medical prescriptions. She had various medical conditions, and indeed withdrawing money from her bank account. He withdrew a total of £12,000. All you can say with any certainty about Brown is that he was utterly without conscience. He was, in that sense, a true psychopath. He preyed on women, obviously of whom he had a very low opinion. They were simply there to satisfy him. But some of the things in the build-up to the death of Leigh and disappearance of Leigh, in November 2020, for example, she's found slumped over the steering wheel of a car and is hospitalised with a suspected drug overdose. The doctors discovered that she's pregnant. But she doesn't want Brown to know. A few days later, she's stopped by police for driving a car without insurance. She tells officers she's on the way to a termination, and later that same month, December 2020, she has a termination. This is evidence of a man who is absolutely in control of his partners in every way, both the obvious one, the stable one, and the ones on the side. He's a total controller. Brown's partner finds out about the affair, but nothing much happens. And Brown's internet history shows an interest in sexual violence. And friends of Leigh recall her telling them about occasion when she was gagged and tied in the boot of his car. There is here a man who, we know very, very little about Brown's childhood. We know comparatively little about his stable relationship. But we do know that in June, after the disappearance of Leigh, Brown reaches out to an old school friend called Elizabeth, who he hadn't seen for many years, and they begin speaking on a regular basis. Brown tells Elizabeth that Leigh committed suicide. Around this time, Brown sends a note to Elizabeth saying that he was buried something in an oil drum. And I quote, and now I'm going to be very careful how I word this, but it happened again, not very long ago, while disposing of something. I try to laugh these things off, but it's a very unpleasant thing to do. An old oil drum, 5 litres of diesel, hey presto, nothing much left. But it gets hot, very hot. Well, at this time, in the wake of Leigh's disappearance, Alex comes into the picture. Alex is wooed. He takes her to Yorkshire. He buys her a Mini. So you have this yet another grooming event. And as we now know, Alex disappears eventually in the same way as Leigh had obviously been disposed of. The police search the Littlebridge Farm site and begin to discover all manner of things, including some of Leigh's belongings. They search and they find the oil drum. And when police search Alex's house, they find what effectively she's left a trail in case anything happens to her. She's as if she's left them a little like breadcrumbs. You know, if you trace this, you'll get to Mark Brown. So by the end of December, by the beginning of December 2021, Leigh has become a murder case, not missing persons, and so has Alex. And finally, on the 5th of January 2022, Brown is arrested, and the search of Littlebridge Farm is continued. Brown remains in custody. The case is constructed against him. In February, he's charged with Leigh's murder, and now he's charged with both Leigh and Alex's murders. The trial begins at Hove Crown Court in October 2022, and in December, Brown is found guilty of the murder of both women. He refuses to attend his sentencing and refuses to disclose what happened to Leigh. He is sentenced at a life with a minimum of 49 years for both murders. Now, what makes Brown interesting to me is that in the same way as Hague, you may remember the acid bath murder we did, once memorably portrayed by Martin Clunes in a television drama. It's as if he has no connection to the world. He's just living in his completely separate universe. He goes in and out of it, back to the stable home life, and then out again into this parallel universe. And there's no sign that Brown has ever asked for an appeal. It's what makes him interesting to me is that it's as if this is the way he defines himself. The manipulation and the control of women is how he defines himself. And that I find very, very interesting indeed.
That's just more violence against women. That's about control, ego. Perhaps if you're not able to exert yourself successfully elsewhere, you can manipulate in other areas of your life to give you a sense of success or well-being, not well-being, but
I think the interesting thing, Mo, about Brown is that as far as the people who worked with him were concerned, he was just an ordinary bloke. There was no. Now, was there somewhere internally a terrible rage about something in his childhood? I wish I knew. But to be so calculated, to be so precise, to actually construct this world in which you have a building site with a container which you turn into a home, and I mean it's. And then taking Alex to Yorkshire and buying her a Mini.
People must have known he wasn't completely normal because not all of those things were hidden.
No, but it's just this is one of those murders in plain sight again, isn't it? I mean, the time of the crimes, he was only 40 years old. He wasn't 60. He's genuinely puzzling.
But because you feel like there's no particular stressor.
I can't see one. I can't see an event unless it's something in his childhood that we don't know about, or one of his parents disappeared, or he was put into care.
Imagine if we had a those criminal minds people on our podcast. What are they called? Forensic
behavioral science.
Those guys.
Yes, I mean,
and they could answer all these questions.
Well, I agree, but one of the things you can't answer about this one, that criminal minds can profile all sorts of things. They can profile geographically. We now know that, for example, the railway rapists, they work in a very specific pattern, but there isn't a profile here. He doesn't demonstrate any of the classic serial killer 101 characteristics. It's not there. It's all a bit of a mystery, and yet a mystery with horrible consequences.
I never heard of him.
No.
Either.
No.
And that's relatively recent.
St Leonards by the Sea is not the most likely setting for.
That's not true, Dad. You did a whole series about murders by the sea.
Yes. No, we never did one about St Leonards.
No, but there are, seasides are funny places.
They are.
It's really challenging to be a place that at once was very buzzy and successful and thrived off all tourism and things, and then that's...
all goes away.
Yeah, it's tough. Like anything.
Yeah, but it doesn't explain.
No, this guy is obviously, completely...
But that's one I'd love to hear from listeners saying, well, I think it was because of X or Y.
Well, we don't have enough information, though, probably do.
No, really. At his trial, there was very little made of his upbringing, childhood.
I mean, perhaps he's just under the born evil camp.
It's possible. But we've always been a bit suspicious about the born evil camp, haven't we?
Yeah, we are a bit suspicious.
We're not, I mean, I don't doubt that some exist, but they're comparatively rare. But perhaps you're right. Perhaps Brown falls into that.
But if it's like he must have been dissatisfied in some way, because that's what leads to that kind of behavior, like needing to exert yourself, like your self-will or whatever in different circumstances if you feel potentially like emasculated or something else in another environment. Maybe.
But it's a very calculated way of going about it. You get to the website and you
but that's just preying on the vulnerable. We know that's like easy target, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
as we have seen
as we've
many
said
times before.
On a number of times before. Yes.
Well, thank you for that. The selfish predator. I'm not sure about thank you, but
no, I don't think thanking me is the right one. I promise to get more poisonous for you.
No, it's fine. Look, I mean, there's nothing we can do about the fact the content of these podcasts is not cheery.
No, it isn't.
That's
really.
Not the point, is it? Really?
Not really.
Maybe we should do like a side podcast sometime where we just talk about something nice. Didn't we do that during COVID? Because we did so many horrible cases. We were like, shall we just talk about something else? And that's what we did. I think that might have been when we did the Agatha Christie one or something. We did some kind of...
Yes.
We did some based on...
yeah.
And should we do a Sherlock Holmes one?
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should do.
We did really try and pepper with some things that were a bit jolly. I mean, even the real Peaky Blinders, in a way. Again, you can kind of extrapolate.
Yes, I think perhaps we should do a couple of fictions. Again, that would be interesting.
We could do something fun.
Yeah.
We could do. I mean, Seven is on Netflix at the minute. We could talk about Seven. I don't know. Really interesting.
Or Zodiac.
Yeah. Depiction of. Well, I know the different. Zodiac's about a real serial killer, isn't it? Whereas
Seven is sort of about Zodiac.
Is it sort of about Zodiac?
Yeah. But I mean, there are several really good documentaries about the Zodiac.
Yeah, no, but that's not the point.
That's
I'm wondering if we do something that's like fictionalized.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy.
What are the best fictional serial killer films?
Well, I think the best fictional serial killer film has got to be Silence of the Lambs.
We've done that.
There's no question of that. We did the real Hannibal
Lecter.
Yes. Although I still think that's the finest of that particular genre.
Yeah. It's a very good film.
And it's interesting that Anthony Hopkins wasn't the first choice.
No one ever is in movie making.
No, they're always the second or third.
It's always circumstance. It's just who's free when, basically.
Yeah. Are you free? Well, I could be.
Well, thank you very much to all the people that help us, to our producer Peter, my brother Dan, who did the music, my friend George, who did our caricature, to Geoffrey for all the hard work, and to you, the listeners, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think it's also fair to say that without Molly's organisation, this would be impossible. And so I think I owe her a great debt as well, and we all do. But as I often say, and as Mark Brown demonstrates, bad things happen to good people, so do please be careful out there.